Good day, everyone, and welcome to our lesson for today. Lesson 9 Modern Day Communication in Business under the course of Business Communication. So let's dive in and proceed. So, what is modern day communication? It refers to the use of contemporary technologies and platforms to facilitate communication and collaboration within organizations and between stakeholders. So, this refers to the use of modern technology in communication. So, it differentiates the way traditional businesses are performed before, written documents, word of mouth, contracts, so on and so forth. But now, with the accessibility of technology and the introduction of internet, which enables communication to happen instantaneously regardless of your place in the world. So it is applied now in business. So whether your stakeholders are at the at the far end of the world, your key members of the organization are somewhere, you can easily have access to them through this. So with advancement in technology, businesses have access to various communication tools that enhance efficiency, connectivity, and productivity in the workplace. Now, our lesson will involve these four things: the voicemail, the email for business, the fax mail, and teleconference. So these are the different modern ways to communicate. Although one of them now is practically not learned anymore, but we'll just have this short uh, discussion to it. Now, first up, let's have the voicemail. So, voicemail is a telecommunication system that allows users to leave recorded messages for individuals when they are unavailable to answer a phone. So, in our case, here in the Philippines, these voicemail are actually features uh, for a long time in the Western countries, wherein going to call someone using their landlines or cell phones, using your SIM cards or other network provider. So the network allows you to leave a voicemail if you cannot reach that person. Although here in the Philippines, only postpaid plans or subscribers have this access to leaving voicemail. But okay, since Messenger has this feature where you can send a voicemail to your colleague or to your friend, if you are what do you call this, if you're not fond of typing your message and you want them to feel your emotions, you can send a voice message to them. So voicemail provides a convenient way for callers to leave messages, enabling effective communication and information exchange even when parties are not immediately available. So that's the point of it. So they can receive your message when once they are available. Sir, how is it? Why not just leave a text message or something? Well, some individuals prefer it that you hear them. So if I'm telling you it's an emergency, call me back. The impact here is much more deeper if the person hears it rather than seeing it as a message or a text. So let's talk about its benefits. So one, its convenience. It allows callers to leave messages at their convenience without the need for immediate interaction. So that is their only time for them to inform them of a message. You can leave an actual message to the person. So you're on the go. You don't have the time to type it, and you need to inform them that they need to do something about a certain topic, you can leave the voicemail at that time. So you don't need to inform them again once you try to contact them again. So the next time you contact them, it would be a follow-up to your voicemail. Okay. Next, we have documentation. It provides a record of incoming messages for future reference or follow-up. Okay. So you have this recorded message from someone. It can serve as your reference in the near future. Now, in businesses, if once you have this documentation and there was a problem, you can go back to this voicemail message from your boss, and it can actually redirect the heat from you because you have heat. This is the evidence. And unlike in Messenger, wherein you can unsend a voice message here, you yourself have the control whether you will delete it or not. And finally, accessibility. So it enables users to retrieve messages from any location as long as you have phone signal or the voicemail system is available in your location. So at your convenient time, as the one who received the voicemail, you can access it. Okay. Now let's proceed to the email for business. Now, email is short for electronic mail. It is a digital communication method that allows users to exchange messages and files over the internet. Once you have an internet access, you have an email address, and you know the email address of the person you want to send to, you can make the email. Send them an email anywhere, in any place, as long as you have internet connection. So it is widely used in business communication, information sharing, collaboration, and documentation. On all kinds of purposes, you can send an email to a person. But in businesses, it's more prolific now since memorandums and important information are sent through emails as well. Now, one feature of email for business is, yes, the instant communication ability. In the emails can be sent and received instantly, facilitating quick communication between parties. Unlike before, if you're going to send a mail to someone else and they're located in a faraway place, you have to wait for days, months, and even years for you to receive a reply from them. Okay? In time, that is time wasted. Okay? But here, regardless of how far that person is, as long as the person has internet access, in which today, unless you live in a cave or a really rural place with no internet access, you can receive any emails anywhere. Next, we have attachment support. So, allows users to attach files, documents, or media to their message. So, you're going to attach the memo. Aside from typing your message, you can attach it. Attach other images. And unlike the traditional mail, you can attach their multimedia, videos, even voice messages, actually, audio recordings. So, which is not possible for traditional mail. Organization is another feature of email because it enables users to organize emails into folders, label them, and search for specific messages immediately. Unlike what you see in the picture there, once you receive a physical mail, you have to put them in a ledger, and once you want to retrieve that mail, you have to physically and manually look for it. However, if you have your email, you can just type the keyword and you can find your mail quickly and efficiently. Then we have the remote access. Provides access to emails from any internet connected device. Before, you need to have your laptop connected to the internet. Now, even your smartphones can access emails as long as your email addresses are saved there. Any device, tablets, laptops, computers, any technology devices that is connected to the internet, I think even smart watches or something, can access your email. So flexibility and mobility in communication. Don't need, unlike before during our time, you need to go to the computer shop, and the computer shop needs to have an internet connection for you to send emails. That was 15 years ago, something, when it was introduced, when it is getting proliferated here in our country. Still, unlike today, wherever you are, as long as you have it, as you have internet and you have a phone, you can access your emails. Now, let's proceed to email etiquette. So, sometimes when sending emails, we forget these things, okay? Maybe since you are used to sending email to your friends, to your classmates, to your loved ones, that sometimes you forget to be professional even in your workplace. So, we've already studied the professional tone, format, and language. So, you use it as well in business emails. And if you're representing your company, it is really a must that you do it. You don't forget it. Next, we have clarity. State your purpose on the email. There is a subject there on the when you are trying to send an email. State there your purpose. Again, in the message, provide relevant information and avoid ambiguity unless it is necessary. But no, we don't do that. So that the since today, even if, I think you are also aware of it, you receive tons of emails every day, even spam mails, and sometimes notification emails from your Facebook account or something. So emails are getting flooded. So it is necessary for you to state your subject. So when the person opens his email address, he can see that it was an urgent matter. Then we have conciseness. Keep emails concise, to the point, focusing on essential details. You don't need to write it very long. As long as the information is complete, it can be as short as possible so that there is no room for miscommunication or misunderstanding. Then, response time. Respond to emails promptly, acknowledging the receipt, and providing timely replies. This is what we forget sometimes. We need to reply to emails. Okay, noted, sir. What else do you send as a reply? Even asking questions or clarifications, you need to ask them so that they will know that you have read it. If not, at least they will assume that you have not read the email immediately. Now, when it comes to response time, as long as you are aware that the time for responding email is not during bedtime or something like that, you need to give time for that as well. Okay? However, if it is during work hours and they send you an email, you need to respond as early as possible once you see it. Okay? But when it is not time for work, someone sent you an email, you don't need to respond to it immediately. Okay? Because you need to balance your work you need to balance your work life situations. Then finally, we have privacy. Exercise caution when sending sensitive or confidential information via email, ensuring proper security measures are in place when sending sensitive or confidential information. So this is both ways, but the biggest risk is from someone who is sending the email. Make sure that the person who will receive the email is the exact person you're sending it to. You may have mistyped a letter, a number to the email to the person. You might accidentally send it to the wrong person, and in that message there is a confidential attachment. So you need to be careful with it. Also, for the receiver part, don't take screenshots of these messages and post it online or in social media, because you're violating Data Privacy Act as well. So there you go. So that's the email. Third one, we'll talk about the fax machine. And in your screen, you can see an example of a fax machine. It's like a printer wherein it prints documents. But unlike a printer, it receives the document or the information from another fax machine, maybe from the same building or from a different area. Okay, so there you have it. So as long as you can have an idea on what a fax machine looks like. It even has a phone. Yes, of course, it has a phone. Okay, the convenience that it gave to companies before, but now we don't see it anymore. So why did that happen? Now, fax, which is short for facsimile, is a telecommunications technology that enables transmission of printed or scanned documents over telephone lines. Telephone lines. That's why you can see there the phone. And okay. Now it is used in business for sending signed documents, contracts, legal paperwork, and other important documents that require a physical copy. So your fax machine here is scanning the document here, and the other fax machine that you intended to send it to will print it there. So there, it's like magic. Now, so its features include these three: document transmission, just like what I've been telling you, allows transmission of physical documents without the need for postage or courier services. And you are sure that it will be sent there because the mail, there is no risk for loss during transmission. I think, unlike physical mail, you lost the mail carrier lost the paper. There was a storm, got wet. There were important signatures. That is the only copy. You have to do it again. Okay? Now, legal validity. Fax is often used for legal documents because it provides proof of transmission and receipt. Okay? And there are legal issues that needs to be dealt with. You can use your fax copies to use it. Confidentiality. Fax transmissions can be secure, ensuring privacy and confidentiality of sensitive information, because the only fax machine that will receive your document is the one you are calling to. Okay? So, these are the three major features. Now, why do you think disappeared? Now, it is not used anymore. Why is it the fax machine not used anymore? So, we have here the challenges and limitations. So, first off is quality. Fax transmissions may suffer from quality loss, resulting in unclear or distorted documents. So, depending on the telephone line's uh, connectivity, which is sometimes unstable when you need it, the documents is not printed properly on the other side. Okay? So, you think, on your side, you think the person who received the document got it correctly, but unfortunately, they didn't. So you have to scan it again and again and again, depending on the need, or depending how much the quality has deteriorated from their part. So technology obsolescence. So this is the second one. With the rise of digital communication methods, emails, traditional fax machines are becoming less common, leading to compatibility issues. Since it is not common now, if your company has a fax machine and the other company doesn't have the same model, there would be issues. It may not print it, you need to update it, you need to change it, etc. etc. Unlike now, whether your computer runs on Intel Pentium and the other one runs on i9 13th generation, your email attachments would still be there. You can still send and receive emails with attachments included with the signed documents, confidential information, without any need for you to update your computer or something like that. Then security concerns. Though it can be secure, fax transmissions, they may still be susceptible to interception or unauthorized access. Okay, especially if the person you're sending the fax is not there and someone else took it. Unlike in emails, only the person who has access to the email is liable to it. Okay? And finally, we have the teleconference. The one that you experienced for 3 to 4 years and even now with some of your subjects. So, a teleconference is also known as a conference call, virtual meeting conducted over telecommunications network, allowing participants to join in from different locations. Wherever you are, whatever you do, whether you're using your tablet, laptop, cell phone, computer, so you have access to the internet, you can join the teleconference. They're using Zoom, Google Meet, or other teleconference applications. Teleconferences facilitate real-time, on the go, or I mean, on the go, real-time communication as if you're talking to them face to face, despite being geographically dispersed. So whether they are clients, stakeholders, or your team members, you can talk to them as if they are there. Okay? Without wasting time to converge to one place and beginning the talk. You can talk immediately as long as it is time for work, and whether they're working from home or they're working in the company, you can have this teleconference and you can talk to them. Now, features, multi-party communication. Unlike in a traditional call, teleconference allows multiple people to talk and discuss, which enables decision making to be done because you're talking to all the important people in your company or in your business. Whether they have a concern, it can be raised, and there are no concerns and there are big decisions to be made, you can do it during the teleconference. Now, there's audio and video options. So you can enable one audio only, or you can also enable the video enabled options, which was voluntary during your synchronous class 2 or 3 years ago because the internet connectivity issues, but was abused by some students because they were not required to open their audio and they are not required to open their video. So some of them are doing something else completely unrelated to that. Still, okay, depending on the participant's preference and technology capabilities, as long as you can hear them naman, as long it can be an audio only teleconference. But in an important business meeting, you are required to open your video because they need to know if the person they are talking to is the same person that they need to talk to. Maybe someone has access to your phone. They will never know. Okay? Now, screen sharing. Teleconference platforms offer screen sharing capabilities, allowing participants to share presentations, documents, and other visual aids. Since presenting visual aids helps inefficiently provide or inefficient communicating of information, ideas, unlike just listening. In a teleconference, you're not seeing anything. So, screen sharing, you have your presentation like this one, you can see it there. Now, you have here now the best practices for teleconferences. So, first of all, you need to prepare. Okay? You don't go to a teleconference, and what if you are the presenter, you have to be sure that you prepared all the necessary materials that you need for your presentation. Okay? They have internet access. You are aware that your internet access will not be cut on that day. All of those things. Now, when it comes to engagement, encourage active participation. So you call them one by one. You play you have or you play a game during your presentation as long as it is connected to your topic. You can have interactive games during your teleconference. All of these things to enable or to ensure that your participants are listening to you, and so you can hear their ideas as well. Now, technical considerations. Before you start, always check whether your device is working properly. So, can someone hear you? Or was there a physical or digital problem with your with the platform? It already happened to me before in my online class. I was talking for 30 minutes and no one was answering. I was into the discussion, and finally one student said, "Sir, we are not hearing anything, but they are seeing that the presentation is moving." Tang na loob, okay? Sorry. So, check for technical considerations before presentation. Ask someone to check whether there are any technical issues on your part. So you can have them listen to you or look at their presentations like practice, okay? And follow up. At the end of your presentation or the teleconference, summarize key points, document action items, and follow up with participants after the call to ensure clarity and accountability, just to ensure that everyone understood the meeting or the teleconference. So, conclusion, modern day communication technologies such as voicemails, email, fax, teleconferencing have revolutionized business communication, offering efficient, convenient, and flexible ways to exchange information and collaborate. Time is money. And by being efficient with time, through the modern use of technology, businesses can be more efficient and effective when it comes to planning, strategizing, and making important decisions. So, businesses who have not accepted technology, although that those are rare now, maybe some small-time businesses have not embraced the use of modern technology or modern communication in their businesses, but big companies expect them that they're using this as much as they can. Okay? Understanding the features, purpose, and best practices associated with these communication methods empowered businesses to leverage technology effectively to enhance communication and productivity in the workplace. So, there you have it, everyone. Thank you for listening and see you next time. Goodbye.